The Asia-Africa BlueTech Superhighway embodies the main principle of South-South collaboration. In this particular case, we focus on Asia and Africa for obvious reasons, because when you compare Asia and Africa in terms of production or consumption or the employment opportunities that aquatic system offer, they are into different realities, right? For example, when it comes to nutrition, an average Asian consumes about 2 or 3 times more than an average African. And similarly, in terms of the contribution of the global fish trade and production level, so there is huge disparity between these two. So our approach is there are so many innovations that have worked in some areas in the global south, be it in Asia or Africa, and therefore how can we enable that South-South collaboration between these two different regions? For example, on digital coasts, where the work through PESCAS on deploying digital tools to better understand and assess the contribution of small-scale fisheries started in Asia in a small state called Timor-Leste, and that has inspired action and replication of the same approach through Kenya, Tanzania, and Mozambique. Similarly, Bangladesh, for example, has made significant advancement in the transformation of our aquaculture sector over the last couple of decades. Now, what are the lessons that can be learned across Kenya and Nigeria, for example, through the IMTA? And similarly for food loss and waste, because of the connectivities through trade and ecosystems and so on, how can we go beyond the traditional boundaries?
We had our government colleagues and some of our partners from Kenya, Tanzania, and Mozambique visit the work that we've done in Timor-Leste. So they met with government officials there and worked on the project and actually saw PESCAS in action, and were able to ask questions about how it was implemented, how the data is used. The Timor-Leste government is now using that as their system, so able to learn from that and take lessons back. And now as we're implementing that, they've been able to see that. We also had government officials and colleagues and partners from Kenya visit Bangladesh and see where we've been doing some of the demonstrations for IMTA and be able to share that back. I participated in the exchange visit last month where we had members of the beach management units in Tanzania and Zanzibar visit beach management units in Kenya, so that they could learn from each other how they're managing that process, take lessons back. I remember conversations about how they were managing some of their, like the closed periods for fishing or the closed periods for harvesting octopus, and benefits of different ways of doing that or different time periods of doing that. The hope then is, twofold. One, we're working along the east coast of Africa. So Kenya, Tanzania, and Mozambique are all 3 implementing PESCAS. So our hope is that those governments are also working together and sharing data throughout the West Indian Ocean.
So hopefully this will lead into a better understanding that whatever intervention that we design cannot be literally addressed in a silo within the national boundaries or subnational boundaries. Because of what I said about the interconnectivity of the natural ecosystems, this is something that requires, collaboration between neighboring countries, different regions, and but also it saves a lot of cost as well. So, for example, we don't necessarily have to spend a lot of time and resources in order to come with a certain innovation that could potentially work in one given area, because there could be multiple other innovations that have worked elsewhere. So it's much more cost effective to look at the ways to adopt them in those new territories where we operate. And hopefully this kind of initiative will lead to more collaboration and cooperation between different countries and entities across the world.